this is a plant. We call it the green buffalo for a reason. Like, we can use all the parts of it, and it also makes the world around it better. We can solve so many things with industrial hemp, and there's a lot of sensationalism about this. Hemp industry is going down.
All good work is done in defiance of management.
I'm going to tell you the truth whether you like it or not.
Go ahead, give me the finger.
The Dan Parsons Show.
Hey, welcome to the hottest political podcast in the state of Nebraska, The Dan Parsons Show, and I am your host, Dan Parsons. Hey, coming up on today's show, Tina Jones, a small business owner and entrepreneur in the industrial hemp industry here in Nebraska. So a little background before we get started. The recent amendments to the 2018 Farm Bill, enacted earlier this month, closed the, quote, hemp loophole that previously allowed for the widespread sale of intoxicating hemp-derived products. The key restrictions, which become effective a year from now in November of 2026. So it's awfully confusing, and hopefully we'll bring some clarity to this topic today with our guests. But the changes target the specific segment of the industry that has produced products with intoxicating effects, while preserving the legitimate agriculture and non-intoxicating hemp markets. So that's where our guest comes in. So stay tuned for a different perspective on this topic. Dare I say, a positive one. But before I introduce Tina, since it is Thanksgiving week, I want to express my gratitude to one of our latest subscribers and supporters, our Friends of Dan on Patreon. Here's what Craig said this week. Quote, I'm not a podcast guy, but I've been traveling for the past 3.5 weeks, and last night your show popped up, so I listened. It was the interview with the beef rancher. Very impressive. We need you. Keep up the great work. Well, Craig, I'm glad you found us, and thank you for your kind words and for supporting the show. Because of your financial support, our team is able to produce content, frankly, you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you're not a friend of Dan on Patreon, please do what Craig did. Go to patreon.com and find the Dan Parsons Show and show us some love. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, here's my interview with Tina Jones. Enjoy. Well, hey, it is my pleasure to welcome Tina Jones to the show. Tina is a business owner, entrepreneur, and a leader in the hemp industry in Nebraska. And we're going to learn so much from Tina in the next few minutes. But Tina, welcome to the Dan Parsons Show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to educate and maybe clear up some definitions for some people.
We are going to clear up some misnomers about this industry. And I want to discuss this provision that was passed in the government funding bill in Congress that has people up in arms about banning CBD products, not only here in Nebraska, but across the country. But I want to start with maybe a little bit of your background, and then let's get into your involvement in the hemp industry and this exciting construction product that you are involved in. So anyway, give us a little background about everything, Tina.
I come from Nebraska. I actually was a realtor for about a decade in Lincoln. I moved out here to Denton. There was some volunteering at the legislature and trying to get that movement going in between those things. But long story long, I ended up out here. And this building that I'm sitting in right now is the general store. It's the original general store in Denton. It was built in 1911. And I was trying to pivot from legislation and all of that volunteer work and involvement, not that it wasn't wonderful, but it was like beating our head against a brick wall. So it feels good when you stop. I went to a hemp forum in Neely, Nebraska, of all places. I said, I'm going to drive there. 3 hours, let's go. And I pull in and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the presentations. It's a lot about, this was February of 2020. And everybody was talking a lot about growing for CBD at the time. Wonderful. We had the farm bill in place. People could grow here. It was a lot of greenhouse grows, things of that nature. And a guy gave a presentation on hempcrete, which is what you see behind me. We call it hemp-lime. It's a insulation material that replaces your wall structure, not the studs, but the actual infill, and you can plaster over it like you'll see behind me. Light bulb moment. And I married my love of the cannabis world and the hemp world with my love of real estate and building and my love of trying to make the world a place. And I have been running full speed ever since. And so when I moved out here in 21, I was still on the fence about what I wanted to do. And then this building said, wow, what a great building to retrofit. There was no HVAC, no plumbing, the worst electrical ever in here. And now I can heat it and cool it with that little baby right there.
No
and
kidding.
It's about 900 square feet. Yeah, no, wow. The properties are insane. Like we were talking about the opportunities for the infrastructure and stuff. Like there's a whole nother podcast about what hemp-lime or hempcrete can do. So so then had a project trying to source these blocks. These ones here, they have a T-shaped cutout. And they went in between the studs. I don't know if you can see the T-shape. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
And they went in the 16 by 9 studs in my wall. And 15,600 pounds of them went here from Canada. I tried to source them in the United States. There weren't any to source in the United States. Tried to source them from several other countries, looking for a really long lead time there, and ended up hooking up with my supplier in Canada. And had my project and had a bunch of hemp builders from all over the nation and obviously Canada, including the guy who made all of these with his crew, come down, and I rented an Airbnb, and we had a month and a half of people just coming in and out and staying. Amazing people in the industrial hemp space. And now I go do their workshops and MC their events or be wherever I need to be to move this industry forward. And that's I started getting more involved in the infrastructure of it, the systems, the processing, the growing, and trying to get these things centralized in the last year and a half-ish. So
let's back up and fill in some of those blanks. So for our listeners and viewers, and for me. So in 2018, Congress passed the Farm Bill, which included legislation that legalized hemp, right? And I know there was talk back then about the hopes, and the reason that they passed that in the Farm Bill was for industrial uses like you're talking about. There was lots of talk about rope and textiles and in different applications that manufacturers could do. And then someone discovered this loophole with THC and the natural compounds. And so that's how we got this derivative from that 2018 Farm Bill with all the CBD and the intoxicating cannabis portion of that. And so that is where all of the focus has been. And it's created quite an industry. But we've kind of forgotten about this manufacturing industry, at least the public has. And now there's new legislation with the government funding bill that will, again, the headlines are, and this is some of our discussion in our pregame, of people think that it's going to not only knock out the CBD in the intoxicating cannabis industry, which Attorney General Mike Hildress has tried to shut down here in Nebraska on his own, but people are under the impression that it's going to wipe out the entire hemp industry, which is not true. So that's I think that's the message we want to talk about here today, is that misconception within your industry. Do I have that kind of right?
is 1000% because that 0.3% threshold for THC that passed in that 2018 Farm Bill became the regulation for hemp that is industrial hemp that is grown that's not going to be consumed. So in order to start the infrastructure of processing and creating products and building more efficient, way better homes with hemp, you have to be able to grow it first. Farmers don't want to grow something that they're worried they're going to grow, 300 acres of and it's going to get destroyed.
Yep.
So that's, if you don't have material to process, there's no need for the infrastructure, right? So it was kind of a detriment to that sector of the industry. And I don't want it to sound divisive,
Sure.
because there's a lot of good things that come from that side
Sure.
of the hemp industry. CBD being number one, in
Yeah.
my opinion, on that side. For the hemp part, not the actual cannabis grows, but for the hemp part, CBD, wow. And the work that can be done to see what other terpenes and cannabinoids we can find, which will hopefully, if they can change the language in this bill to make some accommodations for CBD, that would be ideal in my book. But it has opened up opportunities for the processing and growing and manufacturing products with industrial hemp that we have been roadblocked from, or had not roadblocked, but had hurdles, lots and lots of hurdles. And we still do. Like you didn't even know the difference. And I feel like you're very well educated in this, so I extrapolate that. And yeah, it's my mission now to go around and help in the movement, if you will, but also do things here locally, like with the UNL. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and I want to get to that, the big announcement you have with the Architecture College. But before we get to that,
just yesterday,
help us understand a little bit more about where hemp is being grown and who is doing the processing for products that you're now involved in. Give us a little background and history there.
Well, we should start with Nebraska, because that's where we are.
Yeah, we are in Nebraska. Let's do that. We'll let another podcaster worry about everybody else. Yeah.
I mean, you could go on forever. But Nebraska, we out by McCook, we have had a total, and I say we, it's a group I consult with, have had a total of about 9,000 acres grown in the last 2 years. They did not have their decortication facility up until this year. Just recently, where we haven't made a lot of announcements yet on it, but the governor wants to come out. Nice. So how promising is that?
Well,
yeah, I guess.
The governor's supporting the hemp industry. There's a headline.
Exactly. So a decortication facility is a chain of different machines and that do different things, like an auger that pulls everything in, breaks it down, breaks the industrial hemp plant down into the usable pieces. They go into these blocks. So they look like this. This is hurd. It's kind of like a little wood chip. It's the woody core of the hemp plant, the industrial hemp plant, grown specifically for this. And I like the benefits of growing it for farmers are, a whole nother discussion. But so we need this decortication system to push these plants through where they come out on the other end, and then these sizes can be dialed in. There's also micro bioplastics. There we go. You get micro bioplastics that they can use to make absorbents like oil dry, different kinds of insulation, like little silica packets, like that you have in your medicine bottles to keep moisture out. They're using it for that. So they're using every part of this plant because it gets filtered through screens as it's getting processed. So like the little pieces keep coming through. Same group working with Purdue to develop those little silica packets I was just talking about from that stuff. Like, so this is a plant, we call it the green buffalo for a reason. Like we can use all the parts of it, and it also makes the world around it better, like literally the soil. So Yeah, so setting up that system out there, that group is amazing. They're out of Texas, and but actually a Nebraska guy is running the facility out there, and his name's John Lupian, and he's a great guy. He's a mastermind in decortication and has done several decortication systems throughout the United States, and just happens to I met him when he lived in Omaha, so now he lives at McCook. He kind of has to babysit.
So are there other facilities in addition to the McCook processing
Not in
or
Nebraska,
growth?
but there are 12, I believe, at my last count. Dakota
Tw-
Hemp, Dakota Hemp just went online, so that's another one. So we're all very excited. When I got in the industry, there were 4, and these are specialized machinery that require brilliant minds to put them together and run them, and a lot of tenacity and a lot of farm kid ingenuity goes into figuring it out, because we're not Europe. They have these processors, and Canada has these processing facilities for years and years and years and years, and they're dialed in. But shipping the herd, the little woody pieces, across the ocean or even from Canada, and I know because I imported a whole bunch of material from Canada, is against everything that we're trying to do, right? Like, we're trying to minimize that carbon footprint. We're trying to minimize
Right.
how much a farmer has to do for transportation. Like, so that has been my 10,000 foot view goal, and it's coming to fruition right now. We're trying to form a network of industrial hemp professionals, because I identified a lack of education in this sector, and there's a lot of sensationalism about this hemp industry is going down, and just sell all your
That's the
stocks, I
narrative.
guess.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know. I
absolutely
don't
the
invest.
narrative. Well, and any tariff problems in importing from Canada those products? I assume there's got to be
I
something
did
there.
this in 21. I did
Okay.
this in 21. So I've not tried to import anything from Canada as of yet. But luckily enough, in the United States, we do have enough processors that can service. It's not ideal, but that can service. So we don't have to do that.
So is part of
It's
the
very nice.
challenge?
We have states that have way better.
Yeah. So depending on what happens with this legislation, how will that impact
Mhm.
your industry, the industry that you're trying to build up?
It
How,
is going to be a profound and substantially positive impact, is the short answer to that. The farmers having to destroy their crops, like I said, really hindered the infrastructure of the whole industry. And now a lot of these growers who are growing for the intoxicating cannabinoids, the hemp, the CBD flower, they are going to probably want to pivot. And I would love to help them pivot
yeah.
into this industry, because the more that this catches on, and it is catching on, and this whole legislation has opened up funding. It's opened up insurance opportunities. It's opened up banking opportunities. It's opened up $1.9 billion worth of grants that we were not eligible for before this. So I
So in
see it
addition,
as a positive for
yeah.
non-consumables. Yeah.
Yeah. So in addition to the construction products that you've shown us, that you've created this building and with, there are other legal hemp products. Even your clothing is made of hemp, correct?
Oh, yeah. My clothing and my earrings, not my water bottle, not yet. No, there's so many things. There is hemp bat insulation. Comes in different, thicknesses. You can hold it with your hands. I am a Reezy hempcrete installer. It's a spray machine. I don't know if you've seen anything about that, but that's a really cool thing. It is a spray hempcrete. We have the blocks, we have cast in place, we have boards made out of hemp. We have hempwood in Kentucky. They're amazing. And they're creating beautiful floors. And we are just getting our little businesses ramped up. And it's been a wonderful ride these last 5.5 years. And I'm excited to see what the next 20 bring, because I'm not leaving this industry.
Yeah. So what does that look like? What's your vision for this product, for these products, and the industry here in Nebraska?
Well, with the decortication facility going up out by McCook, why I would have liked it in a closer proximity to our metro, it's going to make it visible, and I'm sure elicit a lot more questions as you've had because a lot of people just don't know. I mean, when I've been out there, I talk to people around; they have no idea that place even exists, and they're right there. So, they know about the hemp grows out there. It's kind of hard to ignore, like 4,000 acres, but um, it's it's crazy to me because I've been in the industry and I think I'm just jaded and I think everybody knows and because I know how amazing it is and I see all these opportunities for manufacturing, for farming, for all of the specialized machinery that comes with both of those things. So fabricating, like there is so much. We're going to need more USDA testers if anybody wants to do that. Like
Yeah.
but I don't even know if we will because it won't fall behind. Yeah, we won't need USDA. In other states,
Yeah.
we will need USDA testers. Maybe we'll see how this
Yeah.
goes.
In addition to all of that, Tina, we also have another alternative crop for our ag industry, which we desperately need here in Nebraska.
Absolutely. And that's all. I am not an agronomist, but in my network, I have some of the best agronomists, one in particular who's in South Bend, Kansas, Melissa Nelson Baldwin, South Bend Industrial Hemp. If you want to see what this process looks like, the closest one to Nebraska, she is the closest one to at least our end of the state. And it's quite amazing what she's done. But she has performance crop research. She's also an agronomist and a family farm, and they have just nose to the grindstone. They have a decortication facility there now. They farm, they consult all over. They ship product to the largest, I think now, decortication facility in the United States, which is in Texas. It's called Panda Biotech. And I believe they are using that fiber for wovens, which is new because I know that people want to lump this and this into the same thing. The plant that this comes from is grown for its long fibers. It's a different genetic. It's a different way it's processed. It has to be delignified, which is the sticky, sugary stuff that's on the hemp plant, because if it wants to be spun into fibers to make things like this, that's a whole different, I mean, it's similar, but it's a different process. And as of right now, I have not seen anything out of Panda Biotech as far as products, but we have two suppliers and it's all imported from China right now. The
Really?
technology to get to this is a lot harder than the technology to get to this.
Makes
This
sense.
is drying out the plant, and it dries out in the fields. It's called retting, retting, retting. So it means rotting is what it means. So they go down, they cut it, and they let it lay. And it dries out. And then you go back and rake it in little windrows and bale it up and bring it in and feed it into your decortication system, dial it in to get whatever size of hemp hurd you need out of that system. And for whatever product you're using, the biggest use in the United States for this is not building, it's animal bedding. It's basically the same thing. We just need it a little more dialed in, depending on what person's manufacturing something. They have their own specs. So it is and with the agriculture sector, with the animal bedding, like just trying to establish these little pockets of infrastructure where we can have a reasonably close, large amount of acres, a decortication facility, some sort of value added hemp product on the end of that, be that the, board, or that be the hempcrete blocks, or, anything that people come up with, because now that we have funding, we can do more research, and we're not put in the intoxicating cannabinoid bucket. So
fascinating.
That's also, yeah.
So talk a little bit about what's your vision for your store. What do you want to do there in Denton, America?
Denton, America. Shadow Lincoln. It used to be Coddington that was Shadow Lincoln, but now it's here. what I had been sitting on this after my project, I was lucky enough to find enough things to do in the industrial hemp space and cultivate that and do a lot of travel work with a lot of people, work with so many different types of modifications of hempcrete materials, many different blocks, the spray system, the cast in place. Like there's so many ways to do this. And I wanted to know all of them. So that's what I have been spending my last, since 2023 doing. And this is just kind of hung out. I do live next door to it.
Okay.
I myself on the edge of town because I occupy this block. And I've just kind of been waiting to see what it's going to be. I'm very, let's wait and see what the universe says kind of a person. When the UNL School of Architecture, a master's student from there, Michael, he just contacted me last week and is like, we are doing an alternative building unit, like alternative materials building unit, natural construction kind of stuff. And he was talking to me about stuff. I'm like, I'm going to go talk to my professors. And yep. And so we are now trying to flesh out some sort of lab, a test lab, a mess around and find out space where I can come in here and educate them. I mean, I spent 2 hours just yapping about this yesterday, and it was so well received. And it was like, you had all the questions. They have all the questions. Everyone has all the questions.
Yeah.
I'm happy to share because this industry can change so much from the soil all the way to the buildings that are making us sick. That's a whole nother thing. This is breathable. I say affordable housing is not affordable if you can't afford to heat and cool it. We don't measure, I mean, it's technically measured, I guess, the same as a R value, 2.4 per whatever. But if you're actually doing the same test or having like the same parameters around it, it ends up coming out as like an R40. So the insane amount of insulative properties combined with the fact that it is fire resistant. It's made primarily of, see this big bag of lime back here? That is the thing that makes it fire resistant. It makes it mold resistant. Mold doesn't like lime. You know what else doesn't like lime? Mice, insects. It just blew my mind. I told you when I saw the hempcrete presentation, it was the light bulb moment, and I haven't stopped running. It's because of this. And these things are accessible. I got that at Tractor Supply. They delivered it by the pallet during my project. So, I mean, there's opportunities that are going to come from this. I hope we don't get bought out. Well, maybe I do hope. I'll just move to Hawaii or something. No, I think that there's just been enough dedicated hemp building professionals that I've been lucky enough to connect with and form real bonds with that. I'm excited to bring in their expertise. I actually just talked with one today, Michaela Machado out of Old Pueblo Hemp Co. She has done the Cooper Center for Learning. It's like a extended learning camp for kids. I'm probably butchering that, but I went to Tucson in March to do her workshop that was kicking that project off. And they just retrofitted all these cabins with these blocks, not these particular ones, but ones that she made with her crew down there. And she has a block press. So I'm going to bring one up here and let the kids play around with it.
That's so cool, Tina. Well, obviously we need to follow up on this story, Tina. There's so much here for our audience to help educate and learn. And so maybe we're just dipping our toe into this topic. And I think what I want to accomplish with this show is just this education of the hallucinogenic CBD industry and separating that and that whole mess, which it has been a mess, into more into more of the discussion of what the hemp industry was envisioned from that 2018 Farm Bill to help farmers and agriculture here in Nebraska and entrepreneurs like you that come along and see the opportunities with these products. So thanks for helping us out. Any thoughts as we wrap up here, Tina, on your work and your project in the hemp industry here in Nebraska?
do not represent any companies on my own, but if you want to see what I'm doing, you can find me on the socials. Just look up my name. I'm sure you'll find me, or throw hemp in there. If you want to read about my project, same thing, or any of the ancillary projects that I've worked on and all the amazing hemp professionals that I've worked with, you'll find them. And if you want to connect and you want to learn, I invite people out with abandonment. So please, I will come, you can come and I'll talk to you about hemp. And being in a building like this, you can't explain how it feels. It smells different. It also regulates humidity. Like, I don't even have to run that thing most of the time, like if it's
Very
decent
cool.
outside. So, and it's crazy to me, and we can take all the power off of the grid. We can solve so many things with industrial hemp. And I really do hope that this initial division in the industrial hemp industry actually is an opportunity to clear the water and then go back in and create a sustainable framework for the intoxicating cannabinoid side. Because they are not this is this could be a very serious commodity crop is what it could be, because we're also having you can grow a duo crop with seeds and then they're not as great for fiber, but I mean, if you're just doing for herd, you can also grow for seeds, and then you have all of the animal feed and oils off of those. So hemp seed oil is really good for you.
Fascinating. Hey, Tina, thanks for joining me today. We'll keep track of the hemp industry and your work to bring this new industry to life here in Nebraska. Hey, and don't forget to show us some love and hit the subscribe button on YouTube and leave a comment about this show. And say thanks to the Parsons team who made this show possible. Mr. Chase Porter, our executive producer, Ike Samanis, producer and graphic design, Penology Tech Solutions, and Kim Remington, our director of operations. And my sincere thanks to each of you for your support. Hey, have a great Thanksgiving weekend. That's today's show. Thanks for tuning in. Now go do good things. I'm Dan Parsons.